Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live. And today I'm going to show you a card. It's actually really quick and simple. So, but for Christmas or for the holidays, I feel like that's sort of what people are looking for. You want something that's pretty, but you still want to be able to get it done in a reasonable amount of time so that you're not spending days and days and weeks and months doing Christmas cards. At least I don't want to have to spend weeks and months doing Christmas cards. So this is the card we're going to be making today. I am using some of the pretty new Ever Eden Designer Series paper, and this is the Ever Eden cotton paper. Actually, I did the little die cuts from that, so I'm using some of the products that are available now finally today, so yay. Wanted to let you guys look at these and see how pretty they are for Christmas, which I wasn't sure when I initially looked at the paper, kind of in the photos, whether I thought it would work for Christmas or not. But once I got it, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely, it's good for everything, but I think it actually really works for Christmas. So I think it's the perfect time of year to get the paper. So, hey everybody, Karen is here and Corinne and Jeannie I see is here. And I know I missed a couple that hopped in, Bree and Debbie, thanks for joining. So glad y'all are here. And Julie, glad you like the card too. So like I said, it's actually really simple, but I think it's really pretty for Christmas. So that's why I went with it today. The main stamp set that we are using is actually the Holly Jolly Wishes stamp set. And this is from the current July to December mini catalog. And again, it's just one of the really good ones, and there are lots of good sentiments in it. It's got some bigger ones. It's got some that will work for the insides of your cards. So if you don't have this set, just get it. Trust me, you want it. All right. So, hey, Kathy, I'm glad you're here as well. And Barbara, thanks for joining. And thanks. I'm glad you liked the card. You know, I just realized I don't have my second light turned on here. Let me see. I don't know if that's going to, hopefully it won't mess everything up and wiggle too much. Okay, there we go. Got the second light on. Hopefully that brightens up the screen a little bit. A couple of things that I used on this card is I actually used the Eden dies, and the only die actually that I used was this little tiny one, the little tiny sort of, I don't know, branch, I guess is what you can call it, die, that I used for the cotton paper over here. Otherwise, that was it for this die set. Another die set that I used is actually the layering circles dies. I used the largest of the regular circles to cut out the sentiment on here. I thought about layering it up and doing a scallop circle under it with gold foil, and kind of went back and forth and decided I liked it a little more without the gold. I thought it would get to be too much, if there is such a thing, too much gold. So, hey, Sandy, glad you're here. And Denise, thanks so much for joining. So before I get started, a couple of things. The Eden's Garden, which we're going to be playing with today, some of the products from that, is available now finally today, so yay. There is a coordinating stamp set bundle that goes with the dies that I showed you here a second ago. So there is an Eden's Garden stamp set, and they coordinate. They don't necessarily, this die set doesn't cut out anything specifically from this bundle, but it works kind of hand in hand with it. So definitely this is going to be, the bundle will actually be in the upcoming January, gosh, too many J's, January to June 2022 mini catalog. So you'll be able to get that all the way through at least June next year. But the Ever Eden specialty paper, which is beautiful, so you definitely want it. You can only get while supplies last. Hey, Kay and Marilyn, glad you're here as well. And thanks for joining from North Carolina. So the specialty paper is only available while supplies last, as well as the Ever Eden 12 by 12 cotton paper is only available while supplies last, and the really pretty garden gems. The photo on the flyer does not do the gems justice. They're much prettier in person, in my opinion. So I think that you will love them if you get them. They also have the full collection of products that you can purchase with just one item number if you're interested in that. You don't have to get it all together. You can buy each piece individually if you want to, but if you're going to get it all, and you know, I know you will, just do the single button and then you'll be done with it. So hey, Vicki, thanks for joining. All right. One other thing I wanted to let you know about is Stampin' Up! Just announced this today. They have got a joining promotion that starts on Thursday and runs through the month of November. When you join, it's $75. They've discounted the starter kit to $75. You still get to pick $125 worth of whatever merchandise from Stampin' Up! That you would like. You get a free paper pumpkin kit in your starter kit. You get free catalogs, some free business items, and it ships for free too, so it's a great deal. if you just want to do to purchase for yourself and save the discount, the demonstrator discount on your orders, you can certainly do that. And this is a great time to join. Otherwise, if you want to do it as a business, we can help you to do that as well. So let me know if you have any questions on the starter kit promotion. I would be happy to chat with you more about it. Again, it starts on Thursday, the 4th of November and runs through the end of November. So just take a note of those dates and don't join too early. So I don't want you to miss out on the good deal. All right, so let's get going. My original card I actually did as my standard top fold card that I do. So this card base is 4 1/4 by 11. It's scored at 5 1/2. But I wanted to show you that it also works with your standard book fold card. So for those of you that prefer the book fold, this is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4 right down the middle. And I've got a piece, again, this is that really pretty Ever Eden Designer Series paper. I'm not sure how well it shows up on screen. Of course, we're gluing this side down, so don't be sad, because I still like the other side. But it's got just a little tiny gold polka dots in this this particular pattern on the designer paper. But we're using the kind of more ombre side of it, which I think is really pretty. And just going to use a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue. And I've got a soft succulent card base. I probably forgot to say the color. And as I say that, I will tell you that all the details are going to be posted out on my blog tomorrow. All the measurements, all the colors that I use, because sometimes I get talking and I forget that I haven't told you what I'm using. And, so the details will all be posted out there. So don't worry about it. If I forget to say something, you can certainly let me know I forgot. But all the details will be on my blog tomorrow, and I'll share the blog post here in this video tomorrow once it goes live. All right, so there we go. We've got these two stuck together. Then I did, again, a little bit of pre-cutting ahead of time. So this piece of Designer Series paper, again, this is from the Ever Eden Designer Series paper that's available now today while supplies last. This one is cut to 1 1/4 by 3 5/8, and this one is 3 1/4 by 3 5/8. Again, the details are going to be posted on my blog, so don't worry about having to remember what I've said. And sometimes I don't get it right either. So trust what's on the blog, not what I say, because sometimes my mouth goes faster than my brain. So I've got some gold foil that I'm going to adhere these pieces to. So these are 1/8 of an inch bigger. So this should be cut to 3 3/8 by 3 3/4, if I've cut it correctly and I've said it correctly. All right, so we're going to adhere these together. Again, just using the Stampin' Seal to do that. And again, this piece of gold foil is also 1/8 of an inch bigger, so it should be cut to 1 3/8 by 3 3/4. And we're just going to adhere these together and then adhere them to the card front. Hey, Betty, thanks for hopping in from Oregon as well. Appreciate you being here. All right, now we're going to go back to the card front, and we're just going to adhere these on the card front. Again, with Stampin' Seal. If you want to be a little more creative or a little bit, more challenged with it, you can definitely use Stampin' Dimensionals. On my cards that I do for Christmas, I try to kind of minimize the layering, which I know is, odd for me, because normally I layer like 50 billion things and it's, 8 feet thick. But for Christmas, just because I'm sending a lot of cards, I tend to try to make them a little thinner so that I don't have to pay all the extra postage fees when I'm mailing everything out. So that's what I do. But again, you can certainly put dimensionals under it if you want to. Now, I have not stuck these down really firmly yet. I wanted to make sure that I had everything placed where I wanted it to be and had it pretty much, like I said, even all the way around the edges and straight, which I think I do. So I'm going to go ahead and press down so I don't push anything where I don't want it to be. So again, I just wanted it to be even around the edges, and then there's a little gap in here. This is for a particular sketch challenge, so you'll see tomorrow when I post it on my blog that which sketch I was doing. But anyway, but I thought it was a really, really pretty kind of layout and design for a card. All right, I have got a sentiment from the Holly Jolly Wishes stamp set, and we're going to do a little heat embossing. So I've got Versamark ink, and I've also got a piece of soft succulent cardstock. And I'm just going to ink this up and make sure that it's really good and inky. And again, I don't normally, when I'm stamping by myself, I don't usually hold the ink pad up and stamp. It's usually on my table. But I do that in my videos because my table wiggles and then my camera wiggles and then you all get seasick and nobody wants that. All right, so there we go. I think we've got a decent stamped image here. And I've got some gold embossing powder that we're going to be using to heat emboss with. So again, I'm just going to take the gold powder and sprinkle it all over the sentiment that I've just stamped. Give it a little flick to try to knock off any of the extra pieces here. Make sure I don't have anything on there that I don't want, which it looks like I've got a pretty good image. And I'm going to close up my embossing powder because I tend to make a mess when I don't. And I've got the heat tool here. So I've got the Stampin' Up! Heat tool, which has 2 settings on it. There's a level 1 setting for drying. So if you're doing something like watercoloring or using an ink that is a little slower to dry and you want to speed it up, you can use the level 1 setting and that will dry your image. The level 2 setting is for heat embossing. And it does take a second for the heat tool to heat up, so I'm just giving it a second, blowing it out here to try to make sure that I don't scorch myself with it. And then we're going to go over here to the cardstock and just start heat embossing. As you're doing the heat embossing, just keep an eye on it, and you will want to keep it moving a little bit. Once it starts the process of turning to that kind of shiny and smooth look, you want to move the heat tool around because you can actually burn your embossing powder. Again, ask me how I know, is because I've done it before. And it's not very pretty when you burn it. So just, again, you don't have to like swing it around or move it really fast. Just make sure you kind of keep it moving across your stamped image so that you get a nice solid and pretty embossed sentiment when you're done with it. All right, and as I was talking, I was giving it a second to cool off because, again, you can smear embossing powder if you put your fingers in it or set something on top of it when it's still warm. So just give it a second to cool off before you do anything else with it. Then I've got one of the layering circles, which is actually the largest one of the kind of regular circles in the die set. And I'm just going to run it through my die cutting machine, which again is over here to my right-hand side. So I'm going to be off screen for just 1 second while I do that. Hopefully you're enjoying your Tuesday. It's kind of a little bit gloomy here in New Jersey today, but overall I can't complain. We've got some nice fall temperatures. And the kids only have a half a week of school. Actually, my younger daughter only has half days for half the week this week. My older daughter's in school for full days, but so it's kind of a little bit of a relaxed week for us, which is kind of nice. All right, so there we've got the die cut sentiment, and I'm just going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere this together. And if you've watched me before, you know that I chop my dimensionals in half just because I like the size of them better, and they stick just as well as half dimensionals, and they do as whole ones. I'm trying to be a little bit careful with the way that I put this on here, just because this is how it's going to stick on my card. So I want to put my dimensionals in spaces that I'm going to try to not have any of them hit here in this little gap, just because it will make a little dip in your sentiment. Not that it's a big deal if it happens, but I usually try to avoid it if I can see these things coming ahead of time. So getting some snow flurries, I'm not ready for snow just yet. I love fall. I don't necessarily mind winter. I actually like it better than summer. I am not a hot weather person, but it's early. It's too early for snow. That's all I can say. All right, so we've got that stuck together. Then I did some die cutting ahead of time with the cotton paper, and again, the Eden dies. And the cotton paper, again, I know you can't see or touch it on the screen, but to me, it's got a texture almost like tissue paper. So it's very thin, but it does die cut very nicely. So hopefully you can see kind of the little slits in it, and it die cuts and embosses very nicely. Punches don't seem to work extremely well with it. It kind of wants to rip the paper. So I would stick, if I were going to, use it on something, I would stick with die cutting or embossing it. Either one of those will work fine. All right, got a couple little glue dots here that I'm going to be sticking my die cut pieces on with, and I'm going to try to stick it on here and not have it stick to me. For the cotton paper, there are actually 2 colors in the pack. There's Soft Succulent, which I'm using kind of to put the bottom layer on here, and Evening Evergreen. So you get both of those, and there are 5 sheets of each in the pack, so it's a pretty good size pack, and they're 12 by 12 sheets. And so it's, I totally stuck that on the wrong side. I want to make sure that it's stuck to the sentiment, not necessarily stuck on the card front. So let me see if I can get this arranged so that hopefully the glue dot won't be sticking to anything it's not supposed to be. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and stick on the Evening Evergreen die cuts here. And again, just going to take a couple little glue dots and stick them to the back, and hopefully not stick them to my fingers, which is what it's wanting to do right now. Normally I kind of press down on the, take my whatever I'm doing and stick it on my glue dot roll and sort of press down to try to get the glue dot to stick to the back of it. But this paper is a little thin, and I didn't want to tear it, so that's why I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it, sticking it to my finger and then sticking it on the project, which is not the normal way that I stick glue dots down. You can probably use liquid glue with this, but again, there are little slit openings in the leaves, in the die cuts on the leaves. So you want to be a little careful if you use liquid glue not to get it in there, otherwise you're going to have a kind of an oozy, icky mess. So, all right, nobody likes that. Okay, whoop, there we go. Stick to the paper, not to my fingers. And then we're just going to layer this one right over the top here like that. All right. Next up, I have got some of the garden gems, which, like I said, hopefully you can see how pretty these are in the video. They don't look very nice to me. In the flyer, they look kind of, I don't know, not sparkly. And they're definitely sparkly. They're like a pretty rhinestone that is colored. These are actually cherry cobbler, and these are soft succulent. So they're very, very pretty. And you definitely will want a pack or 10 of these as well. So, all right. So I'm going to stick these on, and I kind of tried to make them look a little like holly berries. That was sort of what I was going for, even though I know these are not holly leaves. So, don't harass me too much. I know they're not holly leaves, but I wanted to sort of get that holly type look with it for the card front. So that is it. Like I said, it's super simple. Just a little bit of embossing, a little bit of layering of your paper, fairly flat, and should be able to mail with just a single stamp, which is always a bonus for holiday or Christmas cards. On the inside, I kept it pretty simple as well. I've got soft succulent ink and basic white cardstock. And I'm just going to stamp the sentiment. Again, this is another one of the sentiments from the Holly Jolly Wishes stamp set, which again, like I said, if you don't have the stamp set, just get it because you're going to like it, and you'll be sad if you don't get it. And, I don't want you to be sad. So get it, and then, you don't have to worry. Ooh, and I totally stamped that crazily crooked. I was afraid I was going to do that because as I was setting it down, I'm like, that doesn't look straight at all, and it wasn't. So thankfully there are two sides. That one looks to be a little bit straighter, so definitely a better job on that one than I did on the first one. And I'm going to grab a little Stampin' Seal, and I've got a little piece that I trimmed off from the card front of the same designer series paper from the Ever Eden 12x12 specialty designer paper pack. And I'm going to make sure that I stick this down so that at least some of the little gold pieces are on the inside of the card. And that's all I'm using to decorate it. So just put a little of the designer paper down there, trim off the edge so that it's even. The reason I leave it a little bit long, if I have the option to do that, is it helps me sort of to get it placed without everything sticking to my fingers and not where I want it to be. So that's usually how I do it when I'm putting a little strip of paper on the inside of the card, is I just leave it a little bit longer and then trim off the extra. You can always trim it. It's a little hard to add to it. Not that I haven't done it before, but it's challenging. So you usually have to layer something over the top of it. All right, so just using the Stampin' Seal to adhere that to the inside of the card. And then I'm going to use the bone folder and give this a little crease along the edge. You want to be a little careful to try not to press on the gold foil because it does leave marks if you press on it or do anything with it that'll leave a mark. So, all right. Oh, you made your mom's Christmas card at the suite? I'm glad. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just, the paper is so, so pretty. And like I said, I feel like it'll definitely work for a wide variety of cards, but I was just happy to see how well it worked and coordinated with Christmas. So there you have it. Those are my cards to share today. So this is the one we made ahead of time. This is the one I made here with you today. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. Again, all the details will be posted on my blog tomorrow. So everything will be out there. I will share a link to it in this video tomorrow, and we can go from there. So don't forget, joining promotion starts on Thursday. Don't forget to pick up the Ever Eden product before it goes away, because I have a feeling this paper might not last too long. So if you want it, get on ordering it soon. All right. I will plan to be live on my YouTube channel live around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, and then back here live around 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Tuesday. Thanks so much for joining, and have a great day, and we'll chat soon.